Low key, I'm not. I wouldn't. Both of my hose busted.
Which ones? Those? That one?
Yeah, my long ones. The long black ones.
So what does that mean?
The hose, they busted.
Oh my gosh, bro. Hearing that without some context would be crazy.
It's the power wash hose, like a water hose, you know? Yeah. It's the hose I'm
You
talking
just
about.
been used them. They've been used.
Yeah, they've been used and abused quite a bit. They've been through a lot, you know, and I just kept using them until they finally busted. And then, yeah, now I've been just using the generic one that comes with the original power wash, so it's kind of mid. So, yeah, it is what it is.
We have another episode that's 7 minutes long on accident.
We can delete that one, right?
Yeah, I can delete it right now, actually.
Oh.
That's funny. It's just there. Let me see.
Haley, I know you miss your mom, and I know you miss your dad. How the song stuck in my head.
At the bare minimum, I'll just go ahead and I'll just make it private right now.
That's weird.
Yeah, it's gonna be a little bit of a shorter pod today.
No, bro.
Okay.
Starting at 9:45. I think this is the latest we've started.
No,
It is the
lucky.
latest we
I
started.
think we started later.
I mean, before the schedule change.
Huh.
I'm sure we started pretty late.
Yeah, we've absolutely started late. But welcome, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you for tuning into this episode of the Confessions Podcast. As Raul said, we're starting a little bit late, but regardless, we're still getting at it. And we've seen a lot of growth happening this week. So if you're tuning in to this episode and you are one of the ones that have come from the shorts or the reels or wherever, we appreciate y'all for tuning in. And those are doing really great. So all y'all that are showing love to those clips, appreciate you. And thank you for liking, commenting, subscribing, sharing, and we appreciate you very much. And so like today, like Raul said, gonna be a little bit shorter. We started a little bit later than anticipated. Happens. I guess it was just one of those days. But doesn't mean that we're not gonna have a good quality episode prepared for y'all. And yeah, man, I'm ready to get into it. Y'all ready to get into it?
Mm-hmm. Who's leading the prayer today?
It's been one of those weeks, actually.
It's just one of those days.
Whose is it?
You did it last time, I think, because you weren't here.
Yeah, I think I did it last time.
Right. So did it skip?
I wasn't here.
No.
You were running late.
Was
It's
it
like
last week?
Really?
yeah.
Last week you ran
Yeah.
late?
That's when you
Last
came
week
in
you
and you
ran
were
late.
like,
I think I did.
Yeah, but
Yeah,
did we
so
skip
then-
him?
So it's my turn?
Did we skip him?
No,
might
I don't
have
think we
skipped
did.
him.
Because don't we go like this?
No. We go this way.
We go like this?
Yeah.
Bro, oh my
we
goodness.
still don't have this figured out. But it's
We've
okay,
been
either
going
me or
like
you.
that. We've been going
So
like that.
I'll go then because
Yeah.
I thought it was his turn, but since he was running late, then you went. But
you go ahead.
I'll go ahead and go.
Alright.
Dear Heavenly Father, thank you for another day full of blessings and opportunities. Even though it's been a rough week, it happens, it's inevitable, and sometimes you gotta have those to keep you on track and keep your tunnel vision focused. Thank you for allowing me to be here with my brothers. I pray that the town that we're in is safe with all the overflow of traffic and the people here with all the events going on. Pray that you keep the people that are going to keep us safe, like law enforcement, and our prayers as well. May they have the strength because there's going to be a lot going on, and keep my brothers and my family safe as well. Give us the strength to finish this first quarter of the year strong. It's been a long 4 months, but we're going to keep going, and it's nothing compared to what's to come. So just give us the strength to keep going and finish strong and maybe get a little break and then get back at it like nothing ever happened. Thank you for everything, and I pray that we all continue to do our best and full of blessings and opportunities. In your name I pray. Amen.
Amen.
Q1 is done.
Queuing is done.
It was a long Q1.
No, but I was thinking about it. I'm like, man, had some progress made, and I think, man, I think the last week, I think we've seen more growth, at least podcast wise. Like we've seen more growth podcast wise than we've seen in like the past like 2 or 3 months. We've seen a lot of growth in the podcast. Like I said, the shorts have been doing great, and y'all can check them out yourselves. They've been doing really, really good. So that's a good thing that we got going on, and so trying to stay on top of that. And yeah, man, it's exciting. It's
One of
exciting
those
things happening.
one of those new things that we're trying that's actually doing pretty good, right?
Yeah,
Nice.
Yeah, it's actually doing. I mean, it's doing great on YouTube. It's doing great on.
I think
YouTube.
that's the method.
Yeah, we're
Shorts
hitting
on
like
YouTube.
thousands of views.
Yeah. Like I checked. This was before I had posted yours last night. Or Jeremy's this morning. Or no, I forgot who. I tried to rotate them.
Mhm.
Anyways, before the last two ones that I posted, we had over. I think it was like 8,200 impressions on our channel just over the past week.
Yep.
So, been a lot of activity. So, like I said, it's pretty cool, man. And mind you, like before, it was like we're talking about in the low under 1,000 range, and from that to what we had 8,200 in the past week.
Even on Meta, we're getting hundreds and hundreds of views.
Yeah.
I mean, it's not like in the thousands, but it's still.
Hey,
It
you
adds
think
up.
also
It adds
too,
up.
like there's a surge of people wanting to find God again and pursue Christianity even more so, because it's kind of like at first it's unpopular and everybody's scared to do it, but then once like where those those pioneers doing it, this telling people, hey, it's okay, they're like, oh yeah, it is okay. Let me follow them. Let me learn. Let me so more. Well, I'm trying to say more people or more younger people, our generation, are starting to find Christianity again and God again.
I actually
though it's been
I
lost.
had a conversation with this guy named. Shout out Reed if he's watching this. I like to believe that he's watching this. But this is guy I met at the coffee shop, and he was, I don't know what you call it, but he said he's on a ministry, so I'm guessing he's trying to become a preacher or something like that.
He's on a ministry.
Yeah, something like that.
On a mission.
Ministry, I think.
Because a mission. Oh, sorry, I'm not even talking about.
Yeah.
A mission is whenever you go to travel different cities and you
Okay.
preach the word.
What's ministry?
Ministry, if you're going into ministry, then that means that you're like going to Bible school so that you can study and become an ordained minister.
Okay, that's what he's doing.
Okay.
He was mentioning to me how he's starting to see a lot of people turn back to Christianity. And I think that's good news. That's good to hear, especially in today's society.
Yeah, I think it's because over the past decade or decade or two, we've seen the extreme antithesis of Christianity and how it's made our society today.
Mm-hmm.
And we can all agree that the way that society is today, it's probably, at least to us, it feels the worst that it's ever been. More children are more disrespectful. People are addicted to drugs and what is it called, opiates, alcohol. What was it? Sex. What's that culture? Hookup culture. Hookup culture is running rampant.
The
Like,
vapes.
We've seen this huge drift from morality over the past 20 years or so, and we're the generation that's, we're saying, nah. Like, we see how the millennials have it, and they're all miserable and drug abusing and alcoholics and depressed, anxious, whatever.
We saw the results.
We see the results of what going away from God is, and we're turning the other direction. And so that's why I think, statistically speaking, Gen Z is the most conservative / religious generation since the baby boomers.
Yeah, I think it was inevitable for it to happen just because I think we've discussed this before, that the pendulum had to swing the other way eventually.
Yeah.
And overall, like I said, it's just good news to finally hear about it. And I think you actually hit a good point, how you're mentioning for the past decade, a lot of people were scared to stand on their beliefs with God, but I think it's finally swinging back the other way to where we're more open about talking about God, talking about our religion, talking about our beliefs, and standing against what society pushed upon us,
Yeah,
so
telling us that everything is racist, everything's sexist, everything is, some sort of oppressive system. And it really started to become a big problem, I would say, from 2016 through 2020 is whenever it finally really blew up. And then slowly but surely the pendulum has been swinging back, as you mentioned, back towards normacy, common sense. And with that, it's just going to become, God's going to be back into the mix. And I think here in Texas, every school is mandated to have now the 10 Commandments on the wall.
Really? Wow.
And that passed a couple months ago, so every school was getting them shipped out. And they're trying to find more ways to integrate God back into the school system, at least here in Texas. I can't speak for the nation, but I mean, I'm proud at least of that. I think we've seen what happens whenever a nation moves away from God. We've seen it, and you see people talking every day. Is this the fall of America? Is this the downfall? Is this the collapse of the American empire? And sure enough, I don't think it's any coincidence. It's also the time where God is the least involved in every facet because everyone's so sensitive to it for whatever reason. They don't care whatever other agenda you have on your mind to push onto people. You can push it and feel free. You have the liberty to say whatever you want whenever you want. But the moment that you bring God into something, everyone has a problem with it. But I think it's because it calls people out. You cannot hear the name and know exactly what it means and then just ignore it. You have to it forces you to reflect inward. Like I said, like Christianity, whenever we bring up Jesus, it's like bringing up a mirror. You look into it and you see the bad side of you. You see all the things that are negative that you know are wrong. And you either have a choice to shout at it, yell at it, tell it to go away, which is what most people do, or you address it and say, you know what, let me see what I can do to make this image, to make the person that I look at, I want to be happy looking at that person in the mirror. But that's why I'm glad that we do this, man. Like I said, we are one of the ones that's on the forefront.
We're
Pioneers, bro.
We're the leaders.
We're pioneers.
Taking the lead in.
Funny enough, I graduated from Wayland Baptist University, so I am technically a pioneer.
Taking the lead in changing the world, man. And what other way to do it by watching the #1 podcast in the world, Confessions.
One subscriber at a time is all it takes. And like I said, bro, you think it's so funny because I'm getting excited because we went from the start of last podcast, we're at 113 subscribers. The start of this podcast, we're at 131 subscribers. Nearly 20. We're at 18 subscribers that we've netted since the beginning of the last podcast to right now. And that right there excites me, but some person might hear it like 18, like that's nothing. You know what I mean? But that's exponential growth for us.
That's big.
Well, people don't realize we're at 131 right now. Fill up a room with 131 people. Yeah. Fill that room up, and you're gonna see that's a lot of people.
You're like, man, I want to go home. Actually, there's too many people.
Too many. And then, like you mentioned, like our shorts are getting thousands of views, and our podcasts are consistently getting between 30 to 50-ish viewers. Like that's our core crowd, that's our core audience, and that's people that we can always count on to show us support. And so, to those of y'all that have been consistent watching us, we appreciate you for supporting us, and we hope that you genuinely get something out of this, and that's why you keep returning. And so, yeah, we appreciate every single one of y'all. And like I said, we're on a little bit of a time crunch, so we're going to go ahead and get into the word. Today, we are in Proverbs chapter 29 to start. So we're almost done with Proverbs. It kind of saddens me. Let me see. We got what on mine? It's 2 or 3 more pages, bro. That's it. It is.
You said 29, right?
2 more pages. That's it, bro.
Oh goodness.
29, right?
We're on 29.
Yeah. It's only
29.
what? 2 more chapters.
30,
3.
31.
30 and 31. After this,
Yep.
It's 30 and 31.
Bro, so in 2 episodes' time, we will be finishing Proverbs.
I genuinely feel like I grew though.
Yeah.
Just by reading the word, the gospel, and Proverbs.
Yeah.
It's crazy.
And the more you grow in knowledge, the more you realize that you don't know.
Yeah. You don't know anything.
You don't know anything.
Yeah, you'd just be driving yourself crazy trying to learn it all too.
But we grew in wisdom.
Literally,
the book of Proverbs is
the
wisdom.
book of wisdom.
Proud of us.
I would even probably
I'm proud of Confessions.
Proud of Confessions.
Go as far as reading it again on your own.
Yeah,
absolutely. I would say this is something that you could read, even if it's a couple verses every day.
Yeah.
This is something that you can read over and over and over again, and it's one of those I think you would get something new from it, because it's like whenever you read any other book, you read it for the first time, and then you're like you just kind of get the overall story. You enjoy the experience. And then you watch it the second time around, and you're like, bro, I didn't pick up on all these things. Like, I missed that. That went over my head. And so I think that's what's the beauty of why they call it the living word, is because even though, technically this is 2,000 years old, even today, it speaks to people in different ways. And depending on where you're at in the world, where you're at in your life, you can get something new from it. And so, but we're not done yet. All right, we got this week and we got 2 more weeks before we finish this. So yeah. So one of y'all want to take over?
I'll take this one.
All right, it's a short one. It looks like.
One who is often reproved, yet remains stubborn, will suddenly be broken beyond healing. When the righteous are in authority, the people rejoice, but when the wicked rule, the people groan. A child who loves wisdom makes a parent glad, but to keep company with prostitutes is to squander one's substance. By justice, a king gives stability to the land, but one who makes heavy exactions ruins it. Whoever flatters a neighbor is spreading a net for the neighbor's feet. In the transgression of the evil there is a snare, but the righteous sing and rejoice. The righteous know the rights of the poor, the wicked have no such understanding. Scoffers set a city aflame, but the wise turn away wrath. If the wise go to the law with fools, there is ranting and ridicule without relief. The bloodthirsty hate the blameless, and they seek the life of the upright. A fool gives full vent to anger, but the wise quietly holds it back. If a ruler listens to a falsehood, all his officials will be wicked. The poor and the oppressor have this in common. The Lord gives light to the eyes of both. If a king judges the poor with equity, his throne will be established forever. The rod and reproof give wisdom, but a mother is disgraced by a neglected child. When the wicked are in authority, transgression increases, but the righteous will look upon their downfall. Discipline your children, and they will give you rest. They will give you delight to your heart. Where there is no prophecy, the people cast off restraint, but happy are those who keep the law. By mere words, servants are not disciplined, for though they understand, they will not give heed. Do you see someone who is hasty in speech? There is more hope for a fool than for anyone like that. A slave pampered from childhood will come to a bad end. One given to anger stirs up strife, and the hothead causes much transgression. A person's pride will bring humiliation, but one who is lowly in spirit will obtain honor. To be a partner of a thief is to hate one's own life. One hears the victim's curse, but discloses nothing. The fear of others lays a snare, but one who trusts in the Lord is secure. Many seek the favor of a ruler, but it is from the Lord that the one gives justice. The unjust are an abomination to the righteous, but the upright are an abomination to the wicked. Proverbs chapter 29.
Wow. I feel like this one talks a lot about what we just talked about. Like this, for example, kind of the first one that I had read or that stood out to me was when it talked about in verse 7, the righteous is concerned for the rights of the poor. The wicked does not understand such concerns. I think whenever you have these people that are very out of touch, like you see the very privileged people who, the people that are the positions of power, for example, you take the celebrities or something like that, and they try to virtue signal. Like they'll go on and they'll go on their award show and say, no one's illegal on stolen land. You know what I mean? To try to pander to us peasants. You know what I mean? To try to make us like them more. Or they'll wear a little bitty bobby pin while they're at their Met Gala and it has like a name on it or something like that, just so that they can try to satisfy, their little bitty fan base or whatever, and make them feel like, you know what, yeah, you should like me because I know what's going on. You know what I mean? Like trying to relate to people who live a real life, and I think whenever you talk about the people who are actually living life, living a real life, working just a normal guy, I think naturally, as we mentioned before, in the when Jesus was talking about how he's a servant, he's a servant. He came to serve other people, and specifically to serve the poor, the weak, the oppressed, the ones who needed help. That's who Jesus came to serve. And yet whenever you're in the opposite position, you're just in a position of power. All you care about is serving yourself. And so I think that's kind of what this points to, is a lot of people are self-serving instead of looking to find ways to serve others in their community, even those the ones that are struggling, the homeless people that are in their community. They'll be the first ones to say we should tax the rich, but then they'll see a homeless person, ew, get away from me. You know what I mean? They're saying that they want the billionaire taxpayer dollars or whatever to subsidize this housing for the elderly or the veterans or for homeless people, but they're the ones that walk right by them. They say, "Ew, get away! You smell, you stink." Yeah, they won't even spend a couple dollars to get them a water or a hot dog.
They're the ones locking their car door when they walk by,
Exactly.
or clutching their purse even closer.
But they'll virtue signal to everyone and say, "No, they need to tax the billionaires. We have too many homeless people in our community." And it's like, well, what are you doing? What are you doing to help solve that problem other than saying, hey, you solve that problem? You, this person, this entity that doesn't even live in my community, that doesn't walk by these people every single day, you solve this problem instead of me. But I'm the good person. I'm the good person. And the one who's like, you know what? I think we should let people keep their own money. Let's not tax them so hard. But they're the ones that are feeding the homeless. They're the evil person because they have a different worldview. Maybe they're someone who likes Trump, right? And they're the ones that are feeding the homeless, and they're still evil. They're Satan incarnate because, like I said, there's a disagreement in just worldviews.
That's actually kind of crazy that you could be a much better person than someone else who has a different belief than you, but you're evil in their eyes just because of different beliefs.
Bro, and
It's
it said it right here. It said in 27, an unjust man is abominable to the righteous, and he who is upright in the way is abominable to the wicked. So pretty much just what you just said. To us, we look at those people and say, man, I can't understand them. Like, those are disgusting, vile creatures. And then they look at us and they're like, these are disgusting, vile creatures.
That's
You know what I
crazy.
mean?
That's funny.
We're looking at each other and saying the exact same thing. But it's just everyone wants to be their own hero in their own story, right? So to them, I guess they're the good guys, and everyone else is the bad guy. But
That verse too hit the nail on the head. That's funny. I didn't even read it, and I honestly didn't understand it until you
Yeah,
pointed it out.
but like I said, this also talked about, like I said, upper week and can equate it to today, because in verse 16, when the wicked increase, transgression increases, but the righteous will see their fall. And that's kind of what I just brought up not too long ago. What we brought up was we've seen the outcome of just morality going out the window, of everything going away from God. We've seen how our country has moved, and we're saying, you know what? We've seen this fall, and we're not going to allow us to do that no more. So let's stand in righteousness and start to fight for our country through God, through morality, through teaching people Christian values and what Jesus did, because we've seen what happened whenever we didn't do that, and it's gotten us to this point where the world is more divided than ever before. And here, at least in the States, it feels that way. Things are worse than ever before. And so that's what I'm saying. I kept on relating this to what we were talking about earlier, just to start the episode. And so, but there's a lot of good stuff here in verse 23. It says, a man's pride will bring him low, but a humble spirit will obtain honor. And so I think, again, we have these problems of people being so prideful that they can't even stand to think that they're wrong. Like, there's no way that Jeremy is wrong about anything, right? And whenever that happens, and Derek over here, Derek cannot be wrong about anything in his own mind. And then I disagree with you on this thing, you disagree with me on this thing, and neither of us can be wrong. There's no middle ground because we're so prideful. We don't even, it exactly what we just said. You're an abomination to me. I cannot understand you, Jeremy. I can't for the life of me. You're an abomination to me. And then you say the same, Derek, I can't understand you, man. You're disgusting. I can't understand how you think like that. And none of us lets go of our own pride, our own ego, and there's no progress made. There's nothing that's leading us towards a resolution or a mending, like where we can come to an agreement to disagree. At the very bare minimum, I can hear you out and I can understand where you're coming from. Even if I still don't agree, at least I can hear you out and understand where you're coming from. And at the end of the day, we're all human. So we can all relate. At the bare minimum, we can all relate to that. And so I'll understand that, you know what, no matter what you think it for a reason. And it's more than likely tied to whatever your experience are in life. And we've lived completely different lives. And if I can try to put myself in your shoes, even for just a little bit, then maybe I can come to understand you better.
I think a lot of people's problem nowadays is we aren't as open minded as we should be. I find myself being a lot more open minded, where I used to be exactly how you were saying. I'm right. I'm never wrong. And I've even like challenged people where it's like, you know what? I will admit I'm wrong and I will apologize if you can prove me wrong. Like not just with feelings. And that's one of the things I carry now. I would admit I'm wrong, but you got to earn it. Because to prove me wrong, you better write a thesis and a research paper and cite your sources and all these websites and everything. And you know, and I'll be like, okay, I can see why you think that. But if you're going based off feelings, that well, like right away, if you say I think or maybe or he said, she said, or I've heard, immediately incredible. Like no, that you're going based off rumors, uh, gossip, feelings. But if you can say, oh, here from so and so, this happened this time this year, right, and it's your credible source, and I'm like, okay, well, I didn't know that, my bad, I'm sorry, I'm wrong, right? But a lot of people were like, oh, well, I think this and this, and I was like, well, you're not proving me wrong. I've had that happen quite a bit, and people kind of get, like you said, they look at me like, oh, this guy's never wrong, he's hard to, you know, I'm evil. But it's like I'm willing to meet you in the middle. I'm willing to like, hey, hear you out. You're just having a hard time proving it because maybe, you know, the way you think isn't probably the way you should think. And also too, right on the first verse, right off the bat, one who becomes stiff-necked after many reprimands will be shattered instantly beyond recovery. And that kind of got me thinking about a few times me and Raul mentioned where you go to confession and you're constantly going to confession about the same thing.
Hey, yo.
What is
that?
What does that
Someone
mean?
just subscribed.
Oh, thank you for
Thank
subscribing.
you for the subscription. Appreciate you, buddy.
Did it say the name? Could we see the name or anything?
It'll pop up on the screen on here. Why do?
Why do?
Why
I
do?
do.
How do you
Why
do? Why
do?
do?
Why do you do? Why
How do you do? I do.
Just subscribe. Appreciate you, brother.
Thank you, bro.
Thank you
Hope
for-
you're listening and learning. Hoping we're teaching you something that you can apply to your life. But yeah, as I was saying, we talk about it a lot. Where maybe it's talking about when you go to confession, or you're not even if you don't go to a priest. Maybe you're just talking to God and praying. But like I keep messing up. I keep doing the same thing. Do you think that that's what that's talking about? The first verse where he keeps telling you like, hey, no, disciplines you many times, and you keep doing it, you'll be shattered instantly beyond recovery.
Yeah, I'd like to believe that if you don't learn your lesson the first go around, you're gonna have to keep repeating the same test over and over and over until you do learn it, you know? And God forbid that he has to break you down so much for you to open your eyes to finally understand and learn that lesson. But something that I kind of like that you were kind of mentioning is being proven wrong. I enjoy being proven wrong, bro. I love being proven wrong. I hate being right.
It's like it's not a bad thing. You
It's
know?
not-
Right. People look at it as a bad thing. Like, no, if you prove me wrong, good job.
I learned
Yeah,
something.
good
That
job.
means I just learned something and I got better. Like, I'm willing to put my pride to the side and admit that I'm wrong. But if you can't genuinely explain to me to where I can understand that I'm wrong, then I'm just like, I can't agree with you. Sorry, not sorry, you know? And that's coming someone from an open mind, just because, like how I mentioned, I love being proven wrong. And if I don't know something, I'm more than willing to put my pride to the side and be like, I don't know. That's something I don't know, or this is what I heard about it. Don't know if it's true, whatever, you know? But I think a lot of people go into a conversation with a response kind of mindset. Like I'm just listening to respond right away, to combat, to argue, rather than to come into a conversation and be open minded to understanding. Okay, hey, this is what he's trying to tell me, or she's trying to tell me. Oh, this is why they believe this. Okay, can I agree? No, yes. Then you proceed with making whatever statement or point that you want to make. But I think nowadays, I don't know what happened. What went wrong? That's a good question.
I think it's as simple as, and it's funny because we can point to a lot of things, and it sounds kind of like a kind of like something that we use all the time as an excuse, but it's social media. And the reason why I say that is because back in the day, we were forced to conversate with one another. And so now we get to hide behind a screen and we get to say whatever we want with that layer of protection. So the threat of getting our ass beat for saying something that saying something outlandish was gone. That threat no longer existed because we didn't conversate with one another no more. And as a result, we don't meet up as much as we used to. Think about it. We stay home to watch movies. We order everything online. Go to the grocery store. Maybe people now they order their groceries to their house. People stay home now more than they ever did before. People don't like to go out to, social events. Maybe people probably don't even go downtown to get involved with their local community. And we avoid interactions with people at all costs. People's biggest fear is talking to people. Like literally this people's biggest fear is just speaking, public speaking. And so these right here have enabled us to live life and experience life without having to. Because now that you think, when you really think about it, you can go to school online, you can do work online, you can buy all your necessities online, you can still be involved in the world online. You're not forced to have conversations with the people that you live with in your own community. And so because of that, we don't know how to talk to one another no more.
I agree with that 100%. But my question is where did we go wrong with listening? Because we still listen to, like, when did we get so close-minded? What caused that? That's my question, because we still listen to whatever social media pushes upon us, right? But oftentimes I notice people pick and choose what they want to listen to, which kind of also answers my question in a way, just because let's just say we're listening to something that we don't necessarily agree with, right? It's real quick and simple to close off get off that app or just scroll to the next post. But like, what happened to cause people to get so close-minded to where we can't even, exactly how you're mentioning, have a simple conversation? Is it the social media aspect, the attention span?
I think that's a part of it. All of that's a part of it, and I think it's also who's pushing the narratives, because we've been told how to think. We've been told what's right and what's wrong, even if we don't agree with it. That's what the media has pushed us and told us this is right and this is wrong, and then all the celebrities are endorsing it. And it's like and people really are we're packs. We're pack animals. We follow herd mentality. That's humans, right? And so if your favorite celebrity is telling you this one thing is true, or you should believe this thing, then you're probably more likely to believe it than not, just because you like them. And so I think the worst part about social media, or one of the worst parts of social media, is that we've been told what to think. And pretty much our beliefs have been bought by social media. And it's all one big it's a big kind of system, right? It starts at the top with whoever's running the world, goes down politicians, it goes down to the celebrities, and then it goes down to us. And that's how it works.
I think also too the social media part is um, people who are chronically online, they make their algorithms and their feed and their for you pages and everything catering towards them. So whatever they like, they're gonna keep seeing more of that, and they're gonna meet other people that are very similar to them. So they don't have that diverse mindset where they're like, if you were in person and you know, say you went to a seminar and there's all types of people from all over, different beliefs, different everything. You're forced to be there in person with all these people who think differently.
Uh-huh.
But when you're online, you can make your algorithm and your For You page to be just with people like you that think the same, that are the same, that like the same thing, and you stay safe and you stay behind the camera and you feel comfortable with that group of people rather than like, okay, maybe you're in a group and everybody's favorite color is red in that group, right? But then you go to that seminar, this guy's favorite color is purple, this guy's favorite color is green, blue, yellow, right? It's not just all red. So then you ask them, hey, what's your favorite color? Oh, blue. And then that's when what we were talking about earlier, you're evil because you like blue. Why don't you like red? And then they're like, whoa, well, why do you like red? I feel like those little things where people are experiencing and meeting new people and just being barred behind people who are very similar to them makes them close-minded.
Yeah.
That's how I would see it.
No, I think that's a good point too. And then you see, even whenever people are out and about, everyone's on their phones. No one's really talking, and that's the thing. We just don't talk to one another no more. That's really all it boils down to, is we don't talk to each other like we used to. Because before we had to, because there was no other alternative. You're either gonna talk or you're just gonna sit there and people are gonna be talking, and you're just gonna be the only one left out of the loop. And so now we don't have to. You go to a restaurant, sit on your phone, and that's it. The waiter takes your order, you move on. Go to the mall, walk around, look at your phone, pick stuff out, leave. Go to the movies, on the phone the whole time, wait till the movie, get back on your phone, leave. So we just don't interact with one another as much as we used to. And so that in and of itself, we don't have a relationship with one another. Even the people that we live in our own communities, we just don't talk to people no more. And so we're we're a lot worse, and we haven't been as exposed to other beliefs, like how Jimmy mentioned, because we build our own algorithms so that we can just regurgitate the same information over and over that reinforces our beliefs.
And cater to our own emotions and
Yeah.
stuff. And something that I kind of wanted to tie back into this chapter right here, Proverbs, was verse number 11. A fool gives full vent to anger, but the wise quietly holds it back. Look, when it comes to conversating, we're not always going to agree with each other. I mean, even me and my boys right here, we don't always agree with each other. And sometimes it comes down to, let's just say we're having a serious conversation and one of us kind of gets bothered, one of us kind of gets offended, whatever it may be, right? One that just fully jumps into that anger, of course, you're going to not make any sort of progression with that relationship, with that conversation. You're just gonna you get offended, then you're gonna reciprocate that back to offending them just because you got emotional. But if you learn how to control that, you learn how to hold that in and continue to listen, then you can proceed to make some sort of statement, some sort of or come to some sort of common ground with that other individual that you disagree with, right? And be able to progress with the conversation or even the relationship itself. And I think that's where we struggle with a lot, is a lot of self-control, especially when it comes to men or younger men. You know, you got to learn how to control your emotions. Even when you're having a conversation, like I said, you're not going to agree with every single person, and that is completely fine. But be willing to hear them out. Be willing to keep a cool mind and then proceed with making a statement or saying whatever you believe in. And I think that's something that we struggled with, especially nowadays. And that's just not even with just men, even with women. You know, you see it in what we talk about with, especially political or beliefs. You know, they're real quick to start bashing, talking crap to one another instead of, you know what, let me put my pride to the side, let me control my emotions, and let me actually hear this person out and see if I can learn something. But exactly how we're kind of stating, everyone's just been so close-minded and not being able to learn how to communicate anymore nowadays.
Yeah, and it's a real big problem that is, it's hard to see how we can go back, because we're in so deep. Like, you're not going to get rid of technology, you're not going to get rid of social media. It's here to stay. And so how do we begin to start to have these conversations again, and start to actually want to learn from one another and hear each other out? It's hard to imagine how we would get to that point. And so again, of course, me, as long all of us on here will say, well, we just need more God, right?
Yeah.
Because I think naturally Christianity is a evangelistic religion. Like we're meant to go and talk to people. You know what I mean? We're not meant to just stay to ourselves and stay in our own little circle. That's not what we're called to do as believers. And so naturally, as a believer, as a follower of Christ, we're just gonna run into more people. We're gonna be more open to talk to them, and so that in and of itself will help a little bit. That until Christianity is back on top. You know what I mean? Where it's now, we're a Christian nation. Until that happens, God willing, it does happen. I think at the same time we are fighting a war, like you've mentioned before, against it's good and evil, and it's not against flesh and blood, but against rulers and the powers, the forces, and the spirits that dwell in heaven and other places, whatever. Like we are at war and we're fighting for the soul of this nation, and so I think right now it's important that we try to put God into everything, but until we get to that point, it's like it's kind of hard to think how we would come to a solution for that.
People think you're weird too when you do try to have a conversation. If you go up to someone and be like, "Hey, how you doing?" They're gonna like, "What? Someone's talking to me. I'm not used to this. You're weird. Who talks to people in person nowadays?" And it's also too like I could keep a conversation going. Like some of my friends that are around and someone starts talking to me and they'll be like, "Bro, you're just talking forever." It's not that I want to. If that person's enjoying talking to me, then I'm gonna talk to them back. Cause that's one thing that I don't like about talking to people though is that it can go on forever. It's like I got things to do, I gotta go, but I'm trying to be nice and I'm trying to talk to you in person. But I also have heard like just people hating on Christianity where it's like it's freedom of religion until it's Christianity, or it's like Christianity is gonna be illegal soon, and
Respect
you
all
know,
religions until it's Christianity.
It's
yeah,
weird.
it's crazy. Or
Interesting,
It's
right?
because it's the truth.
Interesting, right? I think you made a good point, man. With of course the battle that we're facing today, with the good and the evil, and I like to believe that regardless of how dim the light gets, the light will inevitably conquer the darkness. And I heard an interesting theory. We kind of mentioned how the pendulum is finally swinging back towards the other way, towards actually good, towards faith in God, right? I heard an interesting theory about the pendulum swinging back the other way with even technology. Everyone's on social media. Everyone's always on, like publishing their life, this and that, right? But I heard this interesting theory about the pendulum swinging back towards people wanting to get away from that. People wanting to live more of a private life, away from the phones.
me.
Going back,
That's why I've always been like
going
that.
back to like the a normal phone rather than like the touch screen and all that. Going back to
Like a
that
flip phone.
instead of the AirPods, the wired earphones, stuff like that. And I think that's an interesting theory, and I can also kind of see that just because similar to I'm sure we can all kind of relate to this. We live a very private life. Like if you do see us post on social media,
It's most likely for business.
business. Even me, I post a little bit more.
Because Dito
You don't necessarily know who I am based off social media. You don't. Like we live a very private life behind closed doors. We're completely different people, and we've discussed this over and over and over. You can portray such a different image on social media, and in person you're a completely different person.
Yeah.
So I like to believe that there's potential of that theory becoming true just because there's people like us that do enjoy having a private life, that don't like the public eye consistently knowing what we're doing. So
I
It's
could be
like
married and
the-
y'all would never know.
Yeah, it's just like the Bible said, don't flaunt your accomplishments. Yeah, just show up with the ring one day. Like the Bible said, don't
Just one
flaunt
day
your
I just show up.
accomplishments. What
Just show up with the ring.
what chapter was that? Was that in Matthew or Proverbs?
What?
When he was talking about like don't flaunt your accomplishments. Yes, at the
I
same
think it was
time.
Matthew. I think it was like early.
It's just like just do it just to do it. Don't do it for other
Don't
people.
let your left hand know
Yeah.
what your right hand's doing.
And I feel like that's what a lot of people do. And it's like, man, you don't realize how draining it is to show off like every this little thing you're doing. I'm like, no, dude, that's
I love what I love seeing the comments on TikTok. It's like it'll be a concert, festival, whatever, and then it's just nothing but people on their phones, right, recording.
Bro.
And then the comments are like, "Wow, not a phone in sight." And I'm like, bro, I cannot stand. I was like, I want to live in the moment. The last thing I want to do is be that person that misses the whole concert because I'm too busy recording.
at
I'm not
most.
gonna watch those recordings anyway.
Yeah, they're just gonna take
right?
as at most take a picture for the moment. For
Exactly,
memories,
exactly.
you know?
I'll take a video of like the start of maybe the favorite part, you
Yeah.
know, or yeah, like you said, a picture. For example, like I go to a WWE event and then I'll take just a video of my favorite wrestler coming out and then put my phone is, max, my phone is out for 5 minutes. And then the rest of the time I'm there present and just enjoying it. And I'm like, wow, I wish I could look around here and see no phones, but it's just
Everyone's just
everyone's
Because they gotta show their friends that, hey, look
they
where
gotta
I'm
show
at.
they gotta show their followers that they're cool.
Look where I'm at, and you're not.
But I like I've taken trips, but I took a whole trip to San Antonio and I didn't post one photo. The only way you know I was gone is if you know me and I told you personally, hey, I'm in San Antonio. But other than that, I posted no photos, not one video, nothing. I just went, then I took a trip and I was gone for a couple days. And I took like a week's vacation and there was not one photo that was posted the whole vacation. Like that's how private my life is, and that's how private I want it to stay. I never want to post. I never want to do any of that, bro.
What I enjoy doing, especially when it comes to like business, I get ahead in my content. Like I record like me doing that yellow truck I did that yellow truck about a month ago now, and it's just getting posted. So I kind of like doing that, getting ahead of everything.
I still carry that thing your boss said, and I carry that to heart. Like that's one of the biggest
It
pieces.
don't make
of,
me money.
Yeah, the biggest pieces of advice I've ever heard, because it's like it's true. Like it's like, wow, what is this gonna give me? Like, you know? And I'm
For
like,
those of you that
okay.
don't know what he's talking about, my boss had told my broker. She told me, if it's not making you money, don't do it. It's like, and it's kind of like how you've said before. It's like if it's not helping you grow, cut it out. If it's not helping you become the person that you want to be, why are you doing it? And so social media falls into that. So it does. If you're not getting anything out of it, then why are you doing it in the first place? And once you boil it down, most people is like, oh, I just want the attention. You know what I mean? I like people looking at me. That's fine, but it's not productive. It's not helping you grow. And maybe you'll see more followers, maybe you'll see more likes, but who cares? Who genuinely cares? Like, unless you're really up there, you're getting millions of views, you're gonna walk down the street, and no one's gonna recognize you. No one's gonna care.
Even with people with millions of followers, people probably still don't recognize them.
There's plenty of people who have millions of followers, and I don't know who the heck they are. And so, yeah, like honestly, I'm on the same boat as Jeremy. Like, if I didn't do social media through this, I wouldn't be on social media. You know, if I didn't have to do social media for, like, for example, real estate, I got to do social media for that. And then we got confessions, KRUE. I got to do social media for that. But if I was just a person who was working, like, if I somehow was able to find a job that paid millions of dollars and then I never had to be on social media again, I'll pick that in a heartbeat. $1 million a year, never post on social media, I'll pick that life.
What is that? I don't know. I don't want to say it's religion, but or maybe culture. Yeah. That just live off grid.
Yeah.
That's tempting to just disappear, and I think it's very, very feasible. Very feasible.
Bro, we kind of talk about how this life is open world. Literally, you can do whatever you want.
Yeah.
And so,
Just buy a piece of land.
yeah,
Disappear.
buy a piece of land, get some animals,
Yeah.
start a family, you have 9 kids.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
You never know. I already got 4 of them. You don't even know.
Never know. You never know.
You never know.
That's crazy.
Never know.
Shows up with the ring on his finger.
I got married back in 08. just forgot to take it off. But yeah. Okay, we can move on to Matthew. We got a little bit of time, so we can keep going.
Yeah.
Keep going on. And we are in Matthew. We're at the second half of 21. We're starting at 23. So 23, and then we might be able to finish it off. It looks like we'll probably have to, just for continuity purposes. So Which one one of y'all want to read?
I got it. 23.
Yeah, verse 23.
Okay. 21, right?
21
So
verse 23.
the
Yeah.
authority of Jesus challenged. When he entered the temple, the chief priests and the elders of the people came to him as he was teaching and said, "By what authority are you doing these things? Who gave you this authority?" Jesus answered them, "I will ask you one question, and if you answer it for me, then I will tell you by what authority I do these things. Did John's baptism come from heaven, or was it of human origin?" They discussed it among themselves. "If we say from heaven, he will say to us, then why didn't you believe him? But if we say of human origin, we're afraid of the crowd, because everyone considers John to be a prophet." So they answered Jesus, "We don't know." And he said to them, "Neither will I tell you by what authority I do these things." The parable of the two sons. What do you think? A man had two sons. He went to the first and said, "My son, go work in the vineyard today." He answered, "I don't want to." But later he changed his mind and went. Then the man went to the other and said the same thing. "I will, sir," he answered, but he didn't go. Which of the two did his father's will? They said, "The first." Jesus said to them, "Truly I tell you, tax collectors and prostitutes are entering the kingdom of God before you. For John came to you in the way of righteousness, and you didn't believe him. Tax collectors and prostitutes did believe him, but you, when you saw it, didn't even change your minds then and believe him." The parable of the vineyard owner. Listen to another parable. There was a landowner who planted a vineyard, put a fence around it, dug a winepress in it, and built a watchtower. He leased it to tenant farmers and went away. When the time came to harvest fruit, he sent servants to the farmers to collect his fruit. The farmers took his servants, beat one, killed another, and stoned a third. Again, he sent other servants, more than the first group, and they did the same to them. Finally, he sent his son to them. "They respect my son," he said. But when the tenant farmers saw the son, they said to each other, "This is the heir. Come, let's kill him and take his inheritance." So they seized him, threw him out of the vineyard, and killed him. Therefore, when the owner of the vineyard comes, what will he do to those farmers? "He will completely destroy those terrible men," they told him, "and lease his vineyard to other farmers who will give him his fruit at the harvest." Jesus said to them, Have you never read in the scriptures, the stone that the builders rejected has become the cornerstone. This is what the Lord has done, and it is wonderful in our eyes. Therefore I tell you, the kingdom of God will be taken away from you and given to people producing its fruit. Whoever falls on this stone will be broken to pieces, but on whoever it falls, it will shatter him." When the chief priests and the Pharisees heard his parables, they knew he was speaking about them. Although they were looking for a way to arrest him, they feared the crowds because the people regarded him as a prophet. Matthew 21, starting at 23.
I find which one? The parable of the two sons pretty interesting. So was it the second son or the first son that was it the first one that did wait, no, which one was it? The second one, excuse me, that did the will of the Father? Because he said, "I go, sir," but he didn't actually go.
So he says the first one was the one that said, "I will not." But afterwards, he said that he regretted it, and then he went.
Yeah.
And the second one, he said, "I will," but he didn't go.
Yeah.
And so what he's saying there, after he follows, he says, "Truly I say to you that the tax collectors and prostitutes will get into the kingdom of heaven before you." And I guess why he's saying that is because he's talking specifically about John the Baptist, but he's saying that the prostitutes and the tax collectors, the people that were seen as the most vile and evil, they're the ones that chose to believe in John the Baptist. And it's kind of like how Jesus has said before that he came to heal the sick. And when you think about who Jesus kept around him, tax collectors, prostitutes, evil people like that. Paul was he was a man that was persecuting and killing Christians, and then he ended up becoming one of the biggest followers of Christ and writing the majority of the New Testament. And so when you think about the type of people that Jesus surrounded himself with, it was the worst type of people in society's eyes. And yet they're the ones that chose to put their faith in him because he saw them for who they were, not for what society told them they were. And yet the high priests, the ones that they knew it all, They were already, their morals were the best. They can't be wrong about nothing. The pride that we talked about earlier, they're the ones that rejected him. They rejected his teachings. They chose not to believe in him. And that's why he's saying, equating the prostitutes and the tax collectors to the first son, saying, you know what, at first they didn't accept me, but later they learned their lesson and they chose to accept me. Versus the second son who said, no, I'll go, but he didn't because he didn't choose to listen, right? And so that's why he's saying that, truly I say to you, the prostitutes and the tax collectors, believing in him, will see the kingdom of heaven before you do, because you didn't believe. You saw him and you didn't believe.
That's a good one.
Kind of got me thinking too about a phrase I heard where it kind of got me thinking about, because we're talking about like prostitutes and bad people. I've heard the joke where it's like a hoe's final form is a Christian, right? And it's kind of that kind of reminded me of this, where it's like, okay, you can be. I kind of, I don't know. I feel people use that as a weapon or like a defense mechanism,
yeah.
where it's like, hey,
No, it's common.
and then it's like, well, are you being legit, like how Jesus is talking about? Then yeah, but if you're doing it to like, oh, so I'm only saying this now because I want to find a good guy or want people to treat me better or whatever, that's kind of a slippery slope in itself. And the only reason I thought about it is because when you said like prostitutes and tax collectors, they're bad people doing all these things, and all of a sudden they're like, okay, well, now I'll follow you. And it's kind of the same thing that people use today too much. I think that they genuinely don't mean it.
No, and I think that's a heart posture thing, and at the end of the day, people will know whether or not they're actually legitimate about it, and they're gonna have to know. They're going to go to bed at night knowing the fact that, you know what, I might die today, and based off of whether or not this is a facade or whether or not I truly believe this is going to determine where I spend the rest of my life at, right? And so I do hear that all the time, because just examples keep popping up of, like, there was one in particular I remember seeing, because she went on George Janko's podcast, and she was an OnlyFans creator, and and then she like had this radical conversion to Christianity, and now she's trying to share that with her followers and other people on social media, and people were kind of saying the same thing, like, who are you to say, who are you to talk about these things? Do you not know what you used to do in your past? Host final form is is a Christian or a super religious woman. And so at the end of the day, as believers, we have to understand that Jesus came to heal those people that we as individuals think that, you know what, they might as well go ahead and give up on them. But Jesus, he doesn't give up on us. And so it's so hard for us to really understand why we can see these people and be like, he treated me terrible. She did all these bad things, and yet now all of a sudden she's religious, she's Christian, and what? Now I'm supposed to accept her? Now I'm supposed to say, well, hey, my sister in Christ, let's go to church together. That's hard, even for me. I don't even know if I can do it. That's just me being honest. But I have to ask for God's grace and his strength to help me see those people as sons, daughters in Christ. And if they're truly authentic about it, then eventually their actions will show. Their actions will show for themselves. That's kind of why you kind of brought this up a lot, but not saying anything, just letting your actions show for it. And so, but yeah, it's something that happens very often. And when you think about who Jesus surrounded himself with, he surrounded himself with the people that we would consider bad people.
Yeah. And I think you hit it right on the dot with where their heart truly lies, just because on the opposite hand, for people that quote unquote go to church every Sunday, that are consistently posting on social media, trying to preach the word and stuff, right? You can consider some of those people not genuine as well, hypocritical. So, I think I can agree with Derek as well when it comes to it is a little bit difficult to see past those past mistakes, right? And we see those people as hypocritical, right? But I think our Lord and Savior Jesus Christ calls us to be different, you know. So
So it was just like devil's advocate. If you were to meet the love of your life, and she was past OnlyFans, past, you know, porn star, and because people make fun of the guys that end up marrying porn stars, like oh whatever,
They get it the worst.
yeah, they get it real bad, and so well, that's kind of where it's like like you said, it's hard even for us because I probably wouldn't be able to do that either.
See, and I don't think there's a problem with saying no. I think I have to mentally draw a line and say, you know what? As much as I pray that you are being true and authentic, that you love Jesus, and that you live your life for Him. But at the end of the day, it's His job to save you. I'm just gonna support you from this sideline. You know what I mean? Like I don't have to share a bed with you, and because genuinely, it's something that will bother me if I know that you know what, this person has a very extreme past, and something that I cannot, I don't want to be a part of, and the negativity that comes a part of it, and that's part of also why I want to be private, because those type of people, they're social, people know them, and I don't want that. I want privacy. So in this case, it would be like, you know what, I wish you nothing but the best, but in this case, your past does matter. Like just because this is the crazy thing. Jesus, you know what? Your past, clean slate. Me, your past is not a clean slate. It still exists. It still happens. There's still consequences. If you go and you shoot someone and then, God, forgive me, I'm so sorry, and you truly believe it, it doesn't change the fact that this guy just got shot, right? And so I'm like, it doesn't undo what you just did. Jesus looks at you that way, but I can't. I legitimately can't. Maybe that's a shortcoming for me, and I'm willing to accept that, and that's between me and God.
Yeah,
I'm not gonna. I can't do that. I cannot.
I still have my shortcomings as well. It's like, man, what would Jesus do? He would do the complete opposite of what I'm about to do. And it's like that's and I'm like, you know what? But I'm admitting it. I realize it, but maybe I could work on it. But as of right now, I'm sorry, God, but I can't. Like I still have a few of those as well.
God
And
can
that's
save you, but I won't play Captain Save. I will pray for you. I wish you nothing but the best.
I hope I see you at church.
Yeah. We could be
See you
friends.
at church.
It's like, yeah, we could be friends, and if you're genuine, yeah, well, let's go to church. But that's it. We'll just be friends.
Interesting.
But that's why I was like curious about it, because that is like a tough subject, especially when you're like battling with Christianity. What would Jesus do? Type of versus like your feelings and how you want to treat
I think
it.
a good point would say I personally wouldn't be so necessarily judgmental toward would I wife that girl? Would I cuff her? No, straight up. But would I be like, you're such a piece of POS, you're such a hoe, you're this and that?
You'll never
No,
have a
I'm
good
not,
life.
Yeah, I'm not gonna bash her. I'm not a jerk, I'm not a complete dickhead.
It's just like, well, I hope it works out for you
But
after all. Yeah.
like, hey, I wish you nothing but the best, and I hope you're good.
Clearly, there's some guys out there who are strong enough. They got the patience. They got the virtue of a saint, and they'll take on
They'll be happy.
Hey, there are guys that are out there that I like.
salute
That. I'm
you,
like,
sir.
you know what? Shoot, all power to you, brother. You're a way stronger man than me, and I'm not afraid to admit it.
Someone has to do it, right?
Someone has to be the bad guy. So someone has to be Captain Saver. You know what I mean? So that's what I would do. I would just leave it to the men that are willing to do that. And at the end of the day, if they get burned,
Literally
and figuratively, then what did you expect? But that's why at the same time, it's like, I'm going to support you, but I'm not going to find out. I'm not going to be the one that finds out whether or not you're lying or not. Like, I hope you're being truthful and authentic, but I'm not going to be the one that's going to suffer consequences because of whether or not you're lying. And so,
yeah, that's a good way to put it too, right there.
But that was that parable, which was a really good parable. And then the next one was the parable of the landowner in the vineyard. And to hear, I was kind of getting lost in it. I'm not gonna lie, because it sounds to me like the landowner had a vineyard, and then he sent his slaves out, and then the vine growers beat the slaves and then killed them. And then he would do that again. And then the slaves retaliated by killing his son and stealing his inheritance. I believe that's how the story went, based off of what I read. Does that sound correct?
Yeah, I was kind of, as I was reading it too, I noticed that he was like sending waves of his slaves and then finally sent his son. But then when
He sent his son.
Yeah,
Out of all things, you sent your son after you just murdered however many slaves.
and then right after that, I guess after the owner find out about it, I was gonna ask about 42, which y'all's verse read when it's like kind of bolded
Mm-hmm.
from 42 to 43. What does y'all's paragraph say?
Jesus said to them,
Oh,
Well,
my bad. I don't mean to
ahead.
interrupt because I think we got it wrong. Because you said that he would send the slaves, and then he ended up sending his son, and the slaves retaliated to him. But how I'm reading it, it's he had the vineyard, and then he leased it to his tenants, and he would send slaves to get the harvest, and one would get beaten, one would get killed. They would get killed, right? And he sent another round of slaves. Same thing happened to them, and then eventually he sent his son to go do it himself, but ended up have same outcome. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Because you said it as
Oh,
the
I thought
slaves
the
did it.
slaves are the
No,
ones
no,
that
no.
did it.
Yeah, it was the other
No,
way. It was the
yeah.
slaves, and then the son.
It was
And the tenants
the
did
tenants
it.
that were the ones
Yeah,
that were
yeah,
killing them.
yeah.
Okay. And then he, okay. So then after that, he says, therefore, when the owner of the vineyard comes, what will he do to those vine growers? Then they said to him, he will bring those wretches to a wretched end, and he will rent out the vineyard to other vine growers who will pay him the proceeds at the proper seasons. Jesus said to them, did you never read in the scriptures, the stone which the builders rejected, this became the chief cornerstone. This came about from the Lord, and it is marvelous in our eyes. Therefore I say to you, the kingdom of God will be taken away from you and given to a people producing the fruit of it. And he who falls on this stone will be broken to pieces, but whomever it falls, it will scatter him like dust. And then it says the priest, the Pharisees, they knew that he was talking about them. And so when I think about this logistically, okay, so I assume that the vine growers, they're the ones that are the Pharisees.
The tenants?
Or the tenants.
Yeah.
On mine it says vine growers, but the tenants,
Okay.
they're the ones that are the Pharisees. And I assume the slaves that were sent were the past prophets. So let's say John the Baptist, just the one that he's using as an example, he was beheaded.
And then the son
And then the son is actually Jesus.
Jesus.
God sends the son. He's the
That's
one that owns all the
crazy.
vineyards. He sends his son Jesus, and they kill him trying to steal his inheritance. And so that's why he's saying, what God will do, he said, the kingdom of God will be taken away from you and given to a people producing the fruit of it. So because they killed his son, they will no longer be able to experience heaven on earth as they were intended to. Instead, he takes it away soon to give it to his people.
That's crazy. So in a way, he's kind of like once again predicting his death.
He's telling the story.
Yeah,
of his
that's
coming.
crazy.
That is kind of crazy. What?
Before
Hey, you know what? Hey, from going to not understanding this at all to rereading it,
Crazy
hey, this
pool.
is crazy.
Hey,
bars,
look at
Crazy,
bro.
crazy
Look at
pool.
This is
Look at
crazy
Look at
bars
Look
right
at
there, bro.
Hey, before hold on. Touch base on 42. How Jerome was saying.
Yeah.
Jesus said to them, "Have you never read in the scriptures, the stone that the builders rejected has become the cornerstone? This was the Lord's doing, and it is amazing in our eyes." What does that mean?
So
Yeah,
the
struggling
stone,
with
the
that too.
stone the builders rejected, this became the chief cornerstone. The stone, so the builders here would be the Pharisees.
Yeah.
The stone is Jesus.
Okay.
They rejected that stone, but he then became the chief cornerstone, which, if you know like what the cornerstone is, it's the most powerful, structurally necessary
Yeah.
part that you build upon everything, right? And so they're saying that he was rejected, but he became the cornerstone because of that, and this came about from God, and it's I mean, it's amazing to think about, and so it's kind of it's pretty much just the cycle of God's trying to send a prophet. The Pharisees reject him. The Pharisees, because you think about with Moses, right? Moses and Elijah, and then the first thing they did was, as soon as they got sent out into the forest, was start worshiping other idols. You know, like they just God had just set them free from 400 years of slavery in Egypt, and the first thing they do is turn their back on Him, start worshiping other gods. It's like, what the hell are we doing? You know what I mean? So they go back into captivity. They do the same thing, right? They're always the was it the people of Israel? They always keep messing up. That's like literally all they do. And then he finally sends Jesus. This is your savior. This is your Messiah. And then they kill him. It's like, you know what I mean? It's a constant cycle. And so, but as soon as they killed the son, that's whenever it was like, okay, there's no, you're not going to be able to experience heaven.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I really like how knowledgeable Jesus is, and I think, I don't know, I'm sure we've read this before, or I've heard it somewhere, but how Jesus said he's coming to fulfill the prophecies, not change them. And Jesus said in 42, Jesus said to them, have you never read the scriptures? And it just goes to show like his knowledge in the word, and just him being able to tell a story with such parables. And that's the crazy part.
Yeah, that's the thing too about, you think that you don't need to read the word whenever Jesus literally came and all he did was speak from the word. Jesus knew the Bible, right? How else would Jesus know his mission? Like, yes, he's God himself, but in order to convey that to other people, he had to use the message. He had to use the word, the scriptures, so that they could understand, oh, shoot, he's not just doing things randomly. Like, has a purpose.
Yeah.
And he just keeps, as we're getting closer, of course, in Matthew, as we're getting towards the end of Matthew, as he's approaching the crucifixion, every point that he's highlighting is fulfilling some prophecy, something in the Old Testament. And kind of how you mentioned, he said, I didn't come to, destroy the law, but to fulfill it.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? Like, he's not here to rewrite the Old Testament. He's here to fulfill all the prophecies and then build his church upon that.
Yeah, and he's just basically calling them out. He says, have you never read in the scriptures?
Yeah.
Like, come on now.
Y'all are supposed to be the experts here.
Right?
Y'all are the religious people, and y'all don't even know y'all's own word.
That's crazy.
crazy.
Was this the Pharisees again?
Yeah.
I keep forgetting who they are.
Yeah,
so.
The Pharisees. They're the chiefs. They were the Jewish priests. They're the ones that killed Jesus.
What?
I think that's a good stopping point, though.
Yeah, it's a good stopping point.
Getting a little bit late, but man, that last chapter was pretty gas.
Yeah,
I liked it.
That was pretty gas, especially whenever it's like you just start putting the pieces together. The images. Oh my God.
When you figure it out too, when you go from not knowing to pulling that,
it's like, oh, shit.
That's cool. And it's wild too. Like, he's known about his death from the beginning, and bro he was still fearless. Like,
he was just moving through
Yeah,
it.
he
And
was-
he was just telling people what's gonna happen.
he
Then
was
it would
like,
happen, and they'd be like, "How'd you know that?"
like, just imagine, like, if we knew the time and place and how we were gonna die, we'd be freaking out and counting on the days. He just says it like a story.
Yeah.
It's crazy.
That's something that I was actually thinking about earlier today is faith. When it comes to facing a challenge, facing a difficult time or an insecurity, this or that, right? Our faith is what carries us stronger, and we're always like worried about, how big our problem is. But you got to remind not only yourself, but that problem, look how big my God is, and Jesus is a pure example of that faith, that confidence. That gives you confidence when you have such a strong faith in your God, knowing that time after time he comes and has your back through anything and everything. No enemy shall prosper against you.
And then you, like, Jesus was always talking to God, right? And then you think about whenever he was in the Garden of Gethsemane, and he's pleading with God. Like, he's like, do I really have to go through this? And he's like, I'd rather not. But at the end of the day, your will be done. And he follows through with it anyways. And he just prays to God to give him the strength, to get through it. But it's like you mentioned that undying faith in God comes through getting closer to him. And the only way to get closer to him is to read the word. So if you're not in the word, viewers, get into the word. Don't just listen to it whenever we're talking about. Like, is it great to listen, follow along? Absolutely. That's great. That's incredible. It's amazing. Don't stop doing that. But when you're on your own, whenever you're in your room by yourself, and you have your one-on-one time with God, take that as an opportunity. You know what? Let me open the word up and let me see what God has to tell me specifically. And that's whenever he'll speak to you. He'll speak to you in the word whenever you open it. You may not even know exactly what you're reading, but I guarantee you, if you have that intention of, you know what, I just want to get closer to God, then he'll open up his arms to you like there always have been. And he'll say, you know what, this is what I want to teach you today. This is what I want to talk about today. And so, yeah, I encourage every single one of y'all, get into the word.
Amen.
But without further ado, that's all we got for today's episode. Pretty quick episode. Hope y'all enjoyed it. If you're a new subscriber here, appreciate you for tuning in. Hope y'all like it. If y'all do, share it. Share it with your friends. Share it with your family. All your loved ones.